What's up? Welcome into the Skolcial Network. Our typical recording schedule, once again, completely disrupted by Brev being too busy. So we have a Saturday evening show. Maybe we'll post tonight. Maybe we'll post tomorrow. Who knows? If you're watching this in the future, we totally recorded this on whatever day you're watching it. Brev, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thankfully, nothing crazy happened today. So, just another boring day.
Yeah, totally average, normal day on social media and the world. Yay! Not here.
Especially politically.
Oh yeah, not what we're here to talk about at all. I
If you mention anything about it, it's one ear and out the other for me. So,
anyways. With that in mind, that we'll talk after there. You're in trouble for that one.
well, I'm not dead, so it's okay.
You anyways, uh this is our first episode in about a week and a half, or 8, 9 days. We'd be remiss if for our first show in a little while we didn't acknowledge obviously what happened with Kyrie Jackson. Brev and I did a recording with Tyler last Saturday night. It's up on the Vikes Now channel just to kind of share what details we had. It is demonetized. It's ad free. It was just we wanted to address it because it obviously impacts the team, impacts the fan base, and impacts his family. So if you want our thoughts on that, not even really our thoughts, just the facts. That video was posted last week. But we're going to do our best just to try to stay positive and try to look back on some happy memories as much as possible, which I think we could all use right now, given the crazy week we've all experienced. Brev, what are we doing today? Spoiler alert, it's already on the banner, but YOLO.
We are ranking our all-time favorite Minnesota Vikings games. We talked about either games or moments. I went into this prepping moments, but it kind of is the same anyway. Other than disclaimer, my number one or number two moment was going to be the touchdown on the opening drive of the NFC Championship against Philadelphia because I thought we were going to the Super Bowl. So I can't include that game as a
Well,
whole.
see,
But that was
that's
going to be
so funny. It's almost like somebody tweeted that exact statement and video of that touchdown the other day and
dog.
was prepared to do that as well.
I tweeted that 4 years ago. So
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Well,
mm,
hey, people forget, right? That's
yeah.
a whole election cycle ago, man. Nothing's the same. Everybody's thinking of new things. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We could
Defamation.
do new moments. We could do moments, we could do games, but for me, moments always make games, in my opinion.
True.
So
True.
that's why I thought games, because for most of these, I have the same answers. But I think just to keep it fair, I mean, I think since we're ranking them, let's just each alternate. Let's start at our number one and go down to 2, 3. It's okay if we have repeats. This isn't a snake draft, and we might like the same games for different reasons. So I'm going to go ahead and coin flip using the good old Google machine. Brev, you
How many
calling heads or tails?
tails? How many selections are we making here?
3. Let's
Three.
do. Let's start with our number ones, and then
Okay.
work our way down. And then again, if we have any of the same, we could have probably totally different reasoning. So you
I
said
think.
tails. The
Yeah.
answer is heads.
I think we're gonna have
Totally
this
have to trust me on that.
list.
I mean, the number one answer is almost so cheap for
Mm-hmm.
whether this is games or moments. I almost don't want to do it.
Yep.
But I would also, either one of us choosing to forego it just for clout would also completely ruin any legitimacy we have. Um, it's 100% the game against the Cowboys in 2022.
Yeah.
No, Giants playoff game. You can name a number of different ones.
Yeah.
But it's the Minneapolis Miracle. Like, what are we doing? To get completely sappy, and this sounds totally fake, but when my dad passed away, he left me his bomber jacket, Vikings bomber jacket from the 90s, and I was wearing that. It was a brisk like 55 degrees in January here in Arizona. We were at our local Vikings bar, Boondocks, and for some reason, I don't know why, we typically have like 20, 30 Vikings fans. There was hundreds of us. And people were like asking about the jacket. I kind of shared a little bit about the story, and people were like grabbing onto my dad's jacket. My buddy took videos, luckily on Snapchat, and I'm talking 2017 Snapchat, where the image
Mm-hmm.
quality looks like it was filmed with a Nintendo DS.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you could see me falling to the floor after the conversion to who was their tight end at the time? Oh my god. I'm trying to remember. It wasn't Jimmy Graham who caught it.
Was
It's
it
literally
was it Kobe Fleener? No.
no. I'll remember it. He had a really good college career. I'm trying to remember. I'll look it up and I'll bring it back up later in the show. But when they had that conversion on third down or fourth down, actually I think it was fourth down, and then they hit the field goal. I'm just
Oh,
on the
that
ground.
on the 4th and 10.
Yeah.
That
Was
wasn't a
that a
to a
tight
tight.
end?
That wasn't a tight. That was
Oh.
to Willie Snead. He's a receiver.
Willie Snead. Why did I think Snead was a tight end?
It
Yes, Willie
sounds like
Snead.
it's a
That makes
tight end
sense.
name. It's a definite tight
I,
end.
bro, here's the thing. People can roast me for confusing his position, but I don't think anyone's thought about Willie Snead since that catch.
I mean, it's a tight end name. He wore 83, so it's
That's what it was. Yeah. I mean, he just complete tight end vibes. But it's the Minneapolis Miracle. I mean, my buddy, the video he captured of it actually happening, he didn't get the play. He got the reaction. So you could see on the big screen, Diggs is in the end zone and getting mobbed. And I'm walking around, tears pouring down my face. And I think it was like, I forgot what holiday was the next day, but luckily we had off work because we went home, ate, and then went back out to the same bar to stay out till 2 a.m. celebrating. Because I thought, with most people, it was at that point, bring it home Super Bowl, Minneapolis Miracle, everything that happened that year. I thought, like, I was convinced.
yeah.
And then we got to see the greatest graphic in NFL history with Tom Brady, Blake Bortles, Nick Foles, and Case Keenum.
What a
That
time.
moment impacted me so much, I named my son Case. That was, and obviously, he played the 1 year. We got trampled the next week, fully acknowledging all of that. He had lame duck throws, acknowledging that. But that moment was the closest I felt to us winning a Super Bowl. More importantly, it was the closest I felt to my pops since he had passed away. I know that sounds lame, but sports are freaking incredible, man. They do some cool things. That's why that moment means so much to me. So I'm guessing from your own perspective, you might have a similar answer.
Why haven't I seen this video of your reaction to the miracle? Is it on Twitter?
It's deep in there somewhere. I'll post it. I'll
Uh,
post it when we post the YouTube link. I'll quote it with this video.
Yeah, I mean, I feel kind of basic choosing it, but like if I didn't, then I would be a fraud. Like I'm not already. Yeah, Vikings Saint was a 2017 season, so early 2018. Um, yeah,
January. I just also realized I said favorite games and I literally labeled it as a moment, but yes, that entire game based
yeah,
on
the
the
whole game.
ending. Yes.
I mean, because we dominated the entire first half, and then you're like, oh, the Vikings are Viking this really, really bad.
Oh yeah.
There's a reaction video of me too, like deep in my messages with my friends. Not nearly as special and sentimental as yours. It's literally just me yelling "F you New Orleans, F you Sean Payton." Because that man, that felt like if you people watch that play and they're like, "Wow, that's incredible. That's the greatest walk-off play in sports history." Almost definitely NFL because it was the first walk-off ever in NFL playoff history. But like
hmm
that was getting it back in blood. That was, I mean, we didn't win a ring out of it, so it wasn't exactly getting it back in blood, but just getting it back for '09 felt so good. Um, and yeah, we get trampled the next week. That's where I actually like the miracle obviously was like a better moment, but the the touchdown on the opening drive of the Eagles game was my like turning to my dad and being like, "Oh my god."
This is
Like
gonna happen.
I think it's going to happen.
And the
So
4 and out after.
yeah, the 4 and out, I think because yeah, third down was like a throw to Trey Burton on this like god, I know so much fucking ball because it was 3rd and 10, Nick Foles out route incomplete to Trey Burton, I think. And at that point I was like, "Oh, we're doing it." And just like the miracle for that to happen, it just felt like all the stars were aligning. Like it felt truly meant to be.
Destined.
Yeah, and then it wasn't very obviously. And I went to bed at halftime of the NFC Championship. Literally, I still don't think I've watched the second half to that game, just because I don't need to. I'm good.
Yeah, there's no need. So I had a roommate. I'll shout out my boy Manny. Some of you have, if you're one of my Twitter followers watching this have definitely seen him in my mentions, and he intentionally is. He's a Lakers and Eagles fan, so he is a king troll by nature. Oh
Like the
yeah, he's
Yankees
from
too?
L. No, he's a
Oh,
Diamondbacks fan because he's from LA, so he had to be a Lakers fan, but we didn't have a football team, so he became a Phillies fan or a Eagles fan because of Brian Dawkins. But he hated the Dodgers because all his friends were Dodgers fans, so he wanted to stand out. So then he moved to Arizona, and it ended up kind of making some sense. But anyways, he would turn on the NFC Championship game because he had the Blu-ray DVD, and whenever he'd leave the house, my room was right in front of the living room. So anytime I opened the door, the TV was right in front of me and have that game looping to torture me. He printed out the Eagles logo getting painted at US Bank and put it on our wall. So that
yeah.
game is just absolute hell. But I think to your point, Back in Blood against Sean Payton's another great point I forgot to mention too. I think the only way it gets better is if we have the dream Super Bowl this year of JJ McCarthy versus Bo Nix
Hmm.
and Sean Payton in New Orleans at the scene of the
Hmm.
crime. So
Literally.
not gonna happen whatsoever, but that would be hilarious. That's the
Hilarious.
only way you can get more vengeance on Sean Payton at this stage than that. But I don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say we're not gonna have a Knicks McCarthy Super Bowl in 2024. Just a guess.
Oh, free. That's a flaming hot take.
I know, right? This is what you joined the Skolcial Network for, is for bold football predictions like that.
Imagine they do, and we like.
I can just edit that part out to say we will have a Knicks versus McCarthy
Exactly.
Super Bowl in 2024.
Technology is crazy.
That's such a specific prediction that even if I said there's no way it happens, I can still count it as a
Yeah.
win because that's such a long shot. Nobody's even saying that sentence out loud
Yeah.
because there's no
One
point.
la- one last thing on this game, because we've all shared our experiences with the Miracle. Did you write off Phil? I guess it's easy to say now. Did you write off Philadelphia going to that game because they had Foles? Because I didn't,
No, I
and I'm
didn't
still.
write them off because I think the roster. Because here's my thing: is I couldn't have written them off
Yeah,
knowing full well we had Case Keenum and that
exactly.
as well as Case Keenum had done, we were still both playing with backup quarterbacks and
Mm.
had a lot of luck on our side and staunch defenses. I mean, those two teams were about as comparable as you could be in regards to elite defenses, some weapons that never really like were projected to be insane weapons. I think who what Goddard was in his prime. Who else did they have at receive? Who was their wide receiver one?
I don't think they hadn't even drafted Goddard yet. They had Zach Ertz.
Really? Zach
Yeah.
Hurts. That's who I'm thinking
Yeah.
of, not Goddard. Ugh, my
They
bad.
had Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith. I
So
forgot
if
who. Yeah,
anything, they with Alshon Jeffrey, he wasn't he was good, but he never ended up being what he was projected to be
yeah,
in the pros. So
because he got
technically, he was kind of a scrappy guy who
yeah,
just had some deep yard plays.
because he was nice, and then I think he verbally agreed to a deal with us before that season, but then
He
went to
did.
Philadelphia because he was with Chicago and he was nice, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I don't
And
think he ever turned into what he was originally thought to
oh
be,
no,
given his college tape. He was good. He was very good, but
Mhm.
that's also one of those guys. He had what, like a 4 or 5 year career in total, something like that. Like he kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it might have been 6 or 7. I don't know. They had the Garrett Blunt too.
Oh, and at that time, that was the key to winning a Super Bowl. Apparently,
hmm You
was
got
you
like
just
Garrett
had to
Blunt.
have him on your roster.
It's like in the NHL, if you sign Corey Perry, you'll go to the Stanley Cup Finals. You just won't win.
Do I have a Corey Perry jersey? No, I have a Ryan Getzlaf jersey. That's my Ducks jersey I got
Kind
hanging
of a
in the
fire
closet.
jersey, actually. It's a fire one.
It's clean.
Yeah.
That's a clean jersey. I wanted a Tamu one, but they were all sold out. But all right, number two.
Poo poo. Poopy. Sorry.
Well done. Great job. I'm realizing now we're gonna have the exact same answers, at least on one and two.
Are we?
But I'm thinking. I mean, I'm thinking of changing it up, but I think it has to be the Buffalo game because I was that viewing experience for me. I believe what they were down 2 scores at one point. The Vikings were like 10, 11 points, something like that.
Oh, we were down like I want to say we were down 17. At,
Yeah,
at
so
least
even
at least
more.
14 before Dalvin broke off the run.
I think so because I was indoctrinating my 11-month-old child by making him watch highlights, and I remember being like, "Oh, I didn't realize we were down that much." So maybe it was
Mhm.
14, 17. I remember seeing two scores at one point,
Yeah,
but I guess maybe it could have been three.
definitely at least 14.
I was watching this at my Vikings bar. A large group at the table next to us was about 12 girls from Minnesota out on a bachelorette weekend. Absolutely slammered. And this one girl would not stop yelling at me for like getting angry watching the game because there was a lot to get angry about for a good
Yeah,
portion of that game.
the first half of
Mainly
that game was awful, like
mainly
truly
the
awful.
the Donashell defense.
Yeah,
Um but if yeah, I mean, if you're a Vikings fan, you kind of know how those games go, and you know that like pain in your chest you get, just that like I can't believe this, but at the same time, it's exactly what I expect. Especially with everybody in the media all off season once the schedule dropped, saying that that was going to be the game that the Vikings get absolutely smacked. And she was like, "How dare you not believe in this team? They're gonna win. I guarantee it. I guarantee." It. And I said, "I guarantee that you're probably wrong." To the point where if the Vikings do win, I will buy you and your friends 2 buckets of drinks. Because I was like, and I looked at my wife and I was like, this isn't even, we don't have to worry about spending the $30, $40 on this. It isn't going to happen. Well, sure enough, it did. Um, if I time moments in, the moment my mind stopped functioning at a level where I could even comprehend what was going on or saying words wasn't even the 4 and 18. It was the Josh Allen fumble. I
hmm
couldn't I couldn't process like in that moment I think I blacked out because I was so confused and just in shock. Um but luckily they ended up getting so drunk they forgot I made that bet. So I say $40.
nice.
But I was totally willing to do it because a bet's a bet, fair game. But that game I I thought about putting it at 3 because of how much that game, similar to the Minneapolis Miracle, was such an emotional high, only to get followed up by an absolute kick in the balls.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, again, thinking about experiencing that game and those moments in the moment, that was such an incredible game to watch.
yeah. In terms of like a football fan, that I don't know if that game is gonna. I mean, it'll be topped one day, I guess. But I thought you remember the Ravens game in Baltimore like 10, 11 years ago, or probably 11,
What
12
there was? How
seasons.
many scores were there in the last 10 minutes?
I don't know, but the score was very small, and then it ended what like 29, 26 or something. But like the last couple minutes of that game was redonkulous.
Yeah, you had
So
a
that
Toby Gerhart touchdown.
Cordero Patterson taking a screen pass, I think, if not for a touchdown, a long way. Um, yeah, that game just reminded me a lot of that, and it goes by the wayside a lot. That awful call for the catch by Gabe Davis on the sideline after Buffalo went to go tie it up to force OT. That the fact they didn't review that was wild because it was very obviously not a catch.
I'm looking at this quarter one. It was 7-0 Baltimore. They went scoreless for the next two. Vikings got a field goal in the second and the third, meaning we're at 6-7 Baltimore. Minnesota scored 20 in the fourth. Baltimore scored 22, ending 26-29.
Yeah, unreal. Damn, I got that score in the head, man. I'm so him.
You're a ball knowledge guy. And the
I think
Vikings actually outgained them on total yards. Did
yeah,
total yards those don't include special teams, right? Or do they?
maybe I
I
don't.
don't think so. I that's a good question.
I
Cuz
don't.
I
I think
cuz I was going to say I we'll look into that. I don't think return yards are included in that
no.
cuz we're
There's
cuz
no way.
Baltimore had 325, the Vikings had 379. Baltimore also had 3 turnovers to the Vikings. How did we lose this
We should
game?
have won. I remember we should have won that game. It was insane. But the Vikings Bills is not my number two pick.
Really?
No, my number two pick is the Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings 2009
Ooh.
divisional round playoff game. That game, I choose that. That was my number one before the miracle. obviously, but
100%.
that game from start to finish, just pounding,
Oh,
pounding, pounding, doggy style to Tony Romo was insane. And I was only what, like 9, 10 years old watching that, but still, just like, oh, we had a Cowboys fan friend. My parents' friends, one was a Cowboys fan, one was a Washington fan. But like just having her there, being able to like, just like Brett Favre giving the Cow or Sidney Rice giving the Cowboys corners like back shots was awesome. That is easy number two.
dang. That was going to be my number 3.
Yeah,
But I know we can repeat, but I
yeah.
I don't know if I think we're just going to let that one lie because Sidney Rice catching his 3rd touchdown and turning backwards and walking into the end zone
Yeah.
was, or I don't think he turned backwards. I think he just walked in, but just walking into the end zone. And then who was their linebacker? Keith Brooking or something? I think
Mhm.
so. I remember after the game he complained about us quote running up the score. Um, but it's funny because ever since then, anytime Tony Romo's near the Vikings, it's complete pain and misery for us.
Yeah, it's a curse.
Hmm.
That game, that's like, I don't know. That I miss doing that to teams. We haven't done that to someone in what, 5 years?
Trying to think of the last time. I can't even
We,
think of an exact situation.
I saw an interesting thing the other day. We haven't scored 50 points since like 1998. We've never put up 50 points since the 98 season.
Even with Favre.
Even with our,
We came close,
we've come close.
I think. Hold on. I'm trying to remember this exact score. Maybe I'm completely off.
We have a game of
Oh,
45 or 48, I think.
oh no, never mind. I was completely off base on this. Never mind. I don't know why. I thought the Thursday night game against the Rams was much higher scoring, but I mean 31-38 still isn't
30,
a low
yeah.
scoring game, but I thought it was going to be more than that.
Yeah, we haven't scored 50 since 98, and we did it like 5 times in 19 or three. It was 3 or 5 times. Three sounds way more realistic, but I don't know. That offense is nutty. But yeah, Vikings Cowboys is my number two.
Trying to think of the exact date of the game I'm looking for. The easy answer here is the Colts game. That game was incredible, but it also shouldn't have had to have been stressful in any way.
Yeah, I
Like
kind of
that
weight
game,
that too. I try to look at like the entire game, and like the first half of that game was like the worst I've ever watched. So it's hard to
yeah,
put it.
yeah. It there's no world in which we should have been in that position to begin with. Um, my my answer is a game I remember watching. I believe it was, I can't remember if it was a day game or a night game because it might have been a Sunday night game. I know the first game that year was a Monday night game, but this one was just where I again started to feel hope and aspirations in a way I had never felt as a Vikings fan. This isn't the Monday night game against the Packers at the Dome. This is the road game in Lambeau in 2009 where Favre returned to
Mhm.
Lambeau. I think it was a late afternoon game if I remember correctly. I don't think it
It
was another
was it
primetime
was
game.
the it was game of the week, America's game of the week.
Yeah,
So
it was
4 or
late
5.
afternoon because I remember it started. The sun was up as Favre came out of the
Mhm.
tunnel and got booed. But by the time it ended, it was night.
Yep.
It also contains the most infuriating, like sports announcement call I've ever heard in my life, where Percy Harvin caught a pass over the middle, jumped up for it. 3 defenders hit each other, knock each other on the ground. He turns upfield and takes it in for a touchdown. And the announcer just goes, Harvin makes the catch. Touchdown.
Was it Joe Buck?
I No, no. Here's the thing. This is gonna be I I don't hate Joe Buck anymore.
I don't either.
I think I was very, very influenced by people bashing him. I think he more than made up for the Randy Moss call, and he's even said this. I think it was on Purple Daily actually. He talked about the Randy Moss call being the number one thing he would change in his career. That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss, but he feels he made up for it with the Minneapolis Miracle call, and I kind of agree. Although
Yes.
Paul Allen's call of that is still, if I can choose a Paul Allen call 9 times out of 10, I'm going to choose that
Mhm.
because he speaks for what's happening in my soul. But he ain't that bad. I actually wouldn't really hate on Joe Buck. I actually always liked him more as a baseball announcer in the playoffs. I always thought he was really good at playoff baseball. But no, Joe Buck, you hear some of these guys like Tony Romo, Greg Olson, all that. Like, I can't hate on Joe Buck.
Yeah, I definitely used to be annoyed with Joe Buck, but I'm not old enough to be mad at him for the moon call. But just like
Yeah.
his very there's compilations of his really uninspired stuff. But that was all
Yeah.
from like the mid 2000s, early 2010s. I don't hate Collinsworth either. Like people hate Collinsworth. I don't
I
hate him.
He's good as a color commentator. I'm Him and Al Michaels I think are a good duo, but because you have Al Michaels who's like the consummate professional at doing what he does, and then you have, here's a guy
Yeah.
that's a meme that has
Here's
some
the
truth to it.
guy.
That meme has some truth. Anyways, back to Packers Vikings 2009 in November. Vikings started off hot. Through the first half, they were up 17-3. Looked like they were gonna smoke them. They scored another touchdown, go have 24 points, and then the Packers scored 17, putting it at 24-20, I believe. And then Green Bay, I think, got a couple field goals in the fourth, and then the Vikings just decided to score 2 more touchdowns and 2-point conversions. I'm looking here. I mean, this is another one of those games where it looks a little like the Vikings actually were not supposed to win. They were pretty close in yards. Vikings had 355, Packers had 351. Packers had no turnovers. That was back in the day where Aaron Rodgers, people were calling him in his first real year a like game manager because he was pretty damn good on keeping the ball safe. Wasn't
Mhm.
really doing his crazy plays already. Vikings had two. First downs, Green Bay had 21, Vikings had 19, so close there. Time of possession, Green Bay had it about 5 minutes more. So everything there will tell you, oh, Green Bay probably got one over on Favre. Aaron Rodgers also threw for 43 more yards than Favre, but one less touchdown, 3-4. Um, the leading rusher for the Packers was Aaron Rodgers at 52 yards. Adrian Peterson, 97 yards and a touchdown. And then Greg Jennings, 81 yards and a touchdown. Percy Harvin, 84 yards and a touchdown. So that was one of those games where, like, there were highs and lows depending on the quarter, but by the end of the game, it was pretty evenly matched. Vikings ended up winning by 12, but there were moments in that game where it was like, okay, this is what I actually wanted to see, especially in Lambeau. uh, that was just a game that I remembered thinking, okay, the Vikings have swept the Packers. They're going to win the Super Bowl this year. And I was right if it wasn't for Sean
Should have.
Payton and the damn cheating Saints.
They should have won the Super Bowl. I remember taking a very angry bath after that game. I was very distraught. I was also 9 years old, so you thought about me in the bath. Therefore, you're weird. Um, my was that your number three? Have we already gotten to three?
That was my three. I mean, all
Okay.
we'll talk either honorable mentions or we could
Yeah.
throw in our least favorite game as well. I think that one might be more fun.
My number three is I'm shocked this one hasn't even gotten a mention. Vikings Saints divisional round or wild card round 2019 2020. Maybe I'm copping out choosing all playoff games, but like playoff
Two of
wins,
which against Sean Payton.
yeah, but playoff wins definitely like I don't know about everybody else, but they carry the most
Was
weight.
that the second walk off in playoff history?
Yeah, it was not done often. Just that entire like that was the last gasp of the true Mike Zimmer defense.
Wait, pause. Hold on. Hold on. The Minneapolis Miracle wasn't the first walk off in playoff history.
Apparently, it was.
No, because I can name at least one other: Tim Tebow, Demarius Thomas.
What was the Vikings the first then? No, it was the first. It was the first something in playoff history.
First something. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Get
remember
wrecked.
exactly
Get
what.
wrecked.
I
That
don't
who
remember
knows
exactly what it
ball?
was.
Who knows ball?
You do,
Who knows
Daddy.
ball?
Daddy. Yeah, I don't know, like, because that was an OT, so it was like the first ever walk off in the fourth quarter as time expired. That might be what it was. It was the first something of its kind.
Probably
Um,
time expiring. I'll give you
rest,
that. It's
rest
probably that.
in rest in peace, Demarius Thomas. Um, but my third pick is the next playoff game against the Saints. The throw downfield to Adam Thielen, Kurt, like that was the throw where I was like, man, that's making Kirk
There's
worth some
potential
money.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
There's
maybe
something.
maybe Kirk is worth $84 million. And then the fade to Kyle Rudolph, and also like I was saying, the last gasp of the Mike Zimmer defense. Stephon Diggs' final game as a Viking. A lot of
Was
story
that
there.
was that the year after the Saints Rams?
Yes.
So that's 2 years in a row where, okay, granted, the first year they definitely had a case to be made, but then they really wanted to push the narrative that there was a push off on that play, and on
I
a
think there
technical
was. I
sense,
think
in
there
a
was.
technical sense, yes. But compared to what had been happening in the league in the red zone that year, that was a play that was never called.
So this is gonna be a wild take, and I'm usually pretty good about keeping my takes level headed no matter my fandom. And I hate this. God, I hate the Saints. Um, I do not blame the referee that was standing there and didn't call that PI in the Rams game. Because, like, it was blatantly obvious, but if you're field level, bang, bang, their backs are to you, like, they can't go and review it. Yeah, it looks awful on TV, but if I'm the referee standing there for that play, like, he definitely messed up. But I don't blame him that much.
Yeah. Remember they made PI reviewable and then immediately we're like, never mind.
I'm kind of mad they didn't, that they took it away. Like, yeah, it
Yeah.
never really changed, but like, why would you not give yourself the option? It just seems kind of dumb to me.
It's because the NFL is rigged. It's pure entertainment. It's scripted.
I mean, that also might be true.
My favorite thing to come out of that game was the video that was intentionally cut off where Sean Payton goes to shake Diggs's hand and he's choppering away.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
he stops and shakes his hand and says,
yeah.
good game. But everyone cut the film right there to be like, look at this disrespectful ass receiver. The Vikings are everything they say is wrong with the Saints. Look at this awful taunting culture. But that's still one of the best freeze frame photos I've ever seen of
Oh,
just,
because Sean Payton's in the frame, like looking at him, and it's
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah,
But
that
and that
was
was
a
the last
really,
time.
really interesting last moment for Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, you will be missed, Stefan?
I mean,
Question mark.
here's the thing. Diggsy is. Do you think? I'm just putting two and two together. You have Diggs, Hunter, and Keenum in the building all at once this season. Did they do a? Did they replay the miracle as like a welcome back? Or did they get them all? I think this will happen too. Or did they wait like 10 years and do like 20th anniversary type deal in like 13, 14 years?
I don't know. Like, I think Daniil would definitely get something like that. Diggs maybe. Case Keenum, like even though he was the quarterback, like dude,
I
let's
mean,
keep
he's
it
a
up.
legend. Yeah, I mean, his face is all over the Vikings museum for that play. Like, so I don't know. Maybe they replay it before and say like thank you or something. I don't know. I have
Is
no
it
idea.
is it weird to think about just because like the way time works in your head, the fact that Justin Jefferson was drafted 3 months after that game, like that just doesn't feel correct.
Because what happened is as the is so much changed in that 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changed.
Yep.
Football wise, we got rid of Diggs. which was huge. We got rid of him the night we were told the next day we were going in to pick up computers and stuff in the office.
Hmm.
And so my buddy and I went to In and Out for, we just called it the Last Supper because we thought like we went grocery shopping to buy 400 rolls of toilet paper. But Diggs got traded, ruined my dinner, and then 3 months later we're watching the weirdest NFL draft in history, and I ordered a Justin Jefferson LSU DHK jersey. All of that was within a very short window of time, but it felt like a very, very long time.
The most legendary moment of that draft is not the Eagles taking Rager over Jefferson. It's the Vikings pick being up on the screen, like Goodell's about to say it, and he's just doing the skull chant at a TV. That was awesome.
And all the people on Zoom. There was like what, 8 or 9 Vikings fans on Zoom.
You remember
That
the Packers
oh
fan reacting to Jordan Love that they had up on the screen, and he was like,
yeah.
it was funny.
I forgot that was that same draft. That's
Yeah,
wild.
Brandon
That's
Ayuk,
crazy.
Jeff Gladney, rest in peace.
This organization, man. We've been through it as an organization, say the
Yeah,
least.
see,
Um, so those are our top three. What is your least? I'll let you go first on this one. What is your least favorite Vikings game?
the 2018 NFC Championship. Like 2018 NFC Championship, the '09 NFC Championship.
Okay, other than any NFC championship, because that's just the easy. We can
Okay.
pick and choose any
I
of them
mean,
at this point.
it's so hard to say, or it's so easy to say, like, oh man, I hated getting blown out by the Cowboys 2 years ago. And oh man, I hate New Year's Eve games against Green Bay. So just in terms of like being painful to watch, because I knew the entire time nothing was gonna happen that was good, and it wasn't gonna be like a pounding. It was just gonna be like a slow demise. Was the
Don't
playoff
say it.
game after the Saints against the
Oh,
49ers?
okay, okay. Whew, whew.
Yeah,
Yeah, that there was like 2 months. Didn't Diggs have like a touchdown on an absolute duck of a
yeah.
ball by
It
Cousins?
was
Like
it was
it
like a
was an awful
physical.
pass. If I
Hmm.
remember, it was like a terrible pass. And I think the defender fell down. I'll have to look that up. I don't
Yeah.
I think of these plays that were like cool moments or like what the hell moments from games I want to forget, and I never watch them back because it forces me to
Yeah.
That's the good news about that first touchdown drive in Philadelphia is I could just stop there.
Hmm.
That's the first part of the game. But these other things I have to like search through and just see all these awful things.
I don't know if
Um
you've ever played a video like Madden or like 2K or NHL, and people think there's a script and the game decides who's gonna win, even though it's like an online game. That felt like that with the Niners game, because that one pass that Jimmy Garoppolo threw where he got hit did not direct the ball whatsoever. He somewhat did, but like he didn't have any power on that ball. The ball goes up and goes perfectly into the hands of a receiver for a first down on like 3rd and 12. At that point, I knew, like, all right, it's simply not going to happen.
I have a few answers, but all of them I don't know if I want to say because they also were really great experiences. The one I was leaning towards, and I'll change it, was the Giants playoff game in 22, where, but like, it's hard.
It was a
Not a
good game.
fun, that was not a fun ending to a game. And
Mhm.
also, those who know, like, I got free tickets to the game. My wife and I had this incredible experience that was like the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. So I can't say that game, although that ending, the energy in the stadium was just off. Like it was weird. Like people were yelling at each other for standing up when we were on defense. I was like, what are we doing?
I
This
like
is
even
it was
I
all weird.
watching from home, like I don't know. There like
The
I hate
vibe was
using
off.
the word aura comes to mind. Just the aura around that
It
game was like,
it didn't feel like a playoff game. Like
no, it
those
didn't.
half of us were treating it like it, and there was just a lot of people. And again, like you go to an event, you can do interact with the game the way you want, right? But don't get mad at others for trying to get people engaged or standing up. I can't say that because the Vikings like gave my wife and I the coolest couple days
Hmm.
possible. Um, I will say my wife was super cool. We started dating in September. We had hung out for a few months and kind of talked. We started dating in September of 2020. And the day after we started dating, I was like, well, you have to witness basically the dark side of me now. We're going to go watch this Vikings game. And credit to her, that whole year, she got into the Vikings to the point where the next year, we went to our first Vikings game together, which was a road game in Arizona, about 30, 40 minutes from us in
Was that
Glendale.
week 2?
Week 2. And
Mhm.
that Cincinnati game was infuriating to kick off the
Oh
season in its
yeah.
own right.
Oh, God.
Starting the year with 2 straight road games was infuriating. I did not expect that game to be such a slugfest because nobody really knew if the Cardinals were good or not. It turns
Mhm.
out they were until they weren't. But I remember looking at her and noticing how we had what side of the field we were going to start the game, and I said to her, "There's we're gonna have a chance to win the game on a field goal, and it's gonna be at us, and it's probably gonna miss." And she was like, "You're crazy. Why would you say that? We're gonna smoke them." And then we had that first touchdown for KJ Osborne in his career. That first drive, she's like, "See, we're gonna handle them just easy." The ball that Joseph hit, if you can even call it that, came like was trajecting right towards us. I got so mad, me and my buddy did, that we just slammed the doors open to the stadium on our way out, and we almost knocked out an old guy. Luckily, he was super cool. My wife was mortified and was like, "I'm so sorry," and he's like, "No, I get it. Sports are tough." The worst part of that, though, was State Farm Stadium has the worst parking lot
I've
in the
heard.
world. In the world. We had to sit in the parking lot with my car decked out in Vikings gear, us in Vikings gear, a Vikings license plate for an hour and a half trying to leave as Cardinals fans. The least serious fan base in all of professional sports. I'll say it. I've lived in Arizona a decade. Arizona sports fans, the diehards, are some of the coolest people I know. 99% are super casuals. Drove past us, flipping us off and mocking us. For that reason, that is the most painful game experience I have had outside of NFC Championship games.
I want to give something that flew by the wayside here. I want to give, I don't know if you want me to say her first name, but Mrs. Harmon credit for getting into the Vikings in 2020
Oh
because
yeah.
that was an easy year to be like, this sucks. Why do you like this? Not just with COVID, but like what we started 0-5. That game against Atlanta, like, oh, how you be
We
like,
were
yeah, it's
we were
fun.
driving for that game. That game? No, yeah, we were driving to New Mexico for that game. So I had that
Ugh.
streaming on my phone. I will say
Ugh.
this, and I'm ashamed to admit, but I took the cheap option and I got her into the Vikings by first introducing her to Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
knew, I knew, I knew how to start an interest in the football team.
Very good.
Yeah,
Like at least he accepted.
I mean, look, Adam Thielen, studly man. What can I say?
I mean, back now, yeah, like he looks good now. Like pause, like the way his hair is now with the hat. Like
Yeah,
I'm like,
and the
I'm
the 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 scruff. Yeah, but like 2016, he looked like every like 21-year-old nerdy white guy.
yeah.
Let's
But
call it
now
what it is.
he's like a golf daddy. He's in that mid 30s. He's got the dad energy. I guess those are good choices, by the way, for like least favorite games. Just that stretch of 2020, the Falcons game, the Texans game. We won the Jaguars game, didn't we? But that was like just awful to watch.
We lost the Titans game too. I think JJ's first touchdown.
We
Did we
did.
lose that game?
We did.
I have to bring this up. Hold on.
Those are a
We're
bunch of
going.
games that like we should have won.
I have to bring this up. I just have to. 2020 Vikings. All right. Oh God,
Because he didn't play till
was
week
that the
3.
Saints game where we gave up 7 touchdowns to Kamara?
Believe that was 2020. Yeah, it was.
Pre I'm looking here. I was like, why were all the preseason games canceled? Huh. 43-34 to the Packers, 28-11 to the Colts, 31-30. Oh, to the Titans. 31-20. Oh, we beat the Texans. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
Lost by 1 to Seattle. Was that the Madison game? 40-23. We beat Green Bay. Um, we always split. Beat the Lions by 14. Of course, the Bears game, 19-13. Lost to Dallas. That
Yep.
was a Sunday night game, I believe, by 3. And by a certain point, we were in the playoff hunt,
Yeah,
which
we
was
were.
insane. I think we were playing the Ravens and we were still playing competitive football and we lost by 3.
The
And then
Panthers
beating
game, Chad
the
Beebe.
charge the Chargers game, that was fun. Oh wait, I'm skipping ahead, aren't I? Oh, I'm significantly skipping ahead. No, wait, the Chargers game was 21. Sorry. No, it's just blending together at that point. That's confusing. So
Yeah,
Lions game was the last game of the season. Okay. Yeah.
because 2020 we that's when we played Carolina. Chad Beebe game winning touchdown. We played the Cowboys. Lost to Andy Dalton. C.D. Lamb had those crazy catches. Or no, C.D. Lamb had a crazy catch. Adam Thielen had that one hander in the back of the end zone.
This team.
Yeah. I forgot about that year just as a whole, to be honest with you.
Why do we do
Because
this?
that Bears game, that was the Monday night game. That was Kirk's first win on Monday Night Football. And he was
Wasn't that
celebrating like you would have thought he just won the Super Bowl.
was
I was
that
like,
the one where he threw that interception that looks egregious, but
yeah,
the JJ fell down, I
it
think?
really wasn't his fault. Yeah, that was also the game where Thielen had that catch in the end zone where he like flipped the ball in his hand while he was getting tackled to secure it. It was nasty. I miss Adam Thielen.
I I don't like how things went on the way out, but I would take him back for like generously a 5th round pick. I would prefer a 6, but I don't think Carolina's going to do that.
Yeah. He confirmed on Pardon My Take he's gonna retire here and be here all the time. So I don't think we have to miss Adam Thielen for that long.
Yeah. He'll get added to the coaching staff or do something he'll work in the organization. I almost guarantee it.
Probably. I think he wants to
Well,
play for a couple more years though, which I'm like, ugh.
yeah. Well, we had some fun reminiscing and then reminiscing about not so fun things. I'm going to go back and watch 2020 season highlights just to
Don't
remember.
don't.
Hey, if we're looking at highlights, it'll be like 27 seconds long. So,
So true.
won't be too much pain.
I can relate to that. 27 yards, Blair Walsh. Oh, there's a least favorite game.
Oh shit, yeah.
I forget that one.
Oh my god,
Yikes.
dude, here's what we're figuring out is that this team, for being as high as they are in the all-time winning percentage, has had such few like meaningful games in our lifetimes. Obviously, like if this was Vikings history, we weren't alive for. You got the Miracle, the Met, you got different NFC Championship games, 4 of them in which they won, right? Like all these things, but I'm realizing the painful moments are a lot easier to identify, and there's probably a lot more of them.
Yeah.
Well, on that positive note, this has been the
Herschel Walker
Skolcial
trade.
Network. What?
Herschel Walker trade. TJ Hawkinson trade.
What?
Kidding. Joking. Just kidding, brother. Just kidding, brother. I would have also included the $68 million.
On that note, we'll see you guys next week.